One Sweet Wrestling Podcast is brought to you by, sponsored by, El Luchador Bar, the only wrestling-themed bar in San Antonio, Texas. Check out their great drink specials, loteria nights, service nights. Just wear a uniform. It doesn't matter what it is. You show up, you get a beer or two. I don't know, something like that. Trivia nights, and it's the home of Wrestle Trivia, hosted by yours truly. Yes, One Sweet Wrestling Podcast. El Luchador Bar is located at 622 Roosevelt Avenue. Also, are you looking for some new ink? Check out the artists at Calaveras Tattoos, located at 628 South St. Mary's in San Antonio, Texas. It's the only tattoo shop with 5 female artists on staff. It's where I get my ink. I've always walked out of there happy, satisfied. You know the deal. Check them out at Calaveras Tattoo, San Antonio's favorite tattoo shop. You're listening to One Sweet Wrestling Podcast.
One Sweet Wrestling Podcast.
With your host, Beto Barragan.
And we all know that when the good Lord created man, he meant for him to look just like me.
And Alex Lewicki.
The tower of power, too sweet to be sour. I'm funky like a monkey. Sky's the limit and space is the place.
The podcast made by fans for wrestling fans.
One sweet, one sweet, one sweet, one sweet.
You're listening to One Sweet Wrestling Podcast. One Sweet Wrestling Podcast is here. This is episode 34. Is that it?
I believe it is.
Okay, and you know who it is. It's Beto Barragan, and with me, as always, the Wrestling Wikipedia.
Alex Lewicki, how are you doing, Beto?
I am doing great. I've been looking forward to this episode because we've got lots to talk about. There's so much going on, so much content out there in the world of wrestling. If we miss something, let us know. We're going to talk about it. It's going to be tons of fun. And, of course, we are live on Instagram on Tuesday nights, 6 p.m. So, without further ado, Alex Lewicki, what we got for the headlines?
Well, man, this past weekend, WWE had Extreme Rules. Now, I did not get a chance to watch this because I was, indisposed watching another wrestling event. But you got to see a lot of these matches. I did see the results, but what did you think about... Yeah, I've heard the consensus being that it ranged from a really raucous crowd that ruined it and just a bad pay-per-view.
It was a mixture of everything. But like for me, watching from home, WWE Network, you guys really need to get on the ball here. I'm just going to call them out right here, right now, because every time I put like watch from the beginning on the app, it takes me to like what's happening now. What's the purpose of having the network if you're just going to put me to what's happening now? I want to watch the beginning of the show. So I basically got the show like all discombobulated back and forth. But I will tell you exactly, we know the results, of course. Alexa Bliss is still the Raw Women's Champion, and that's kind of where I started watching. One of the high spots of the show, Ronda Rousey came in, did some cool moves, as you would expect Ronda Rousey to come in and suplex everybody and throw a bunch of submission holds and stuff like that. That was cool. It was great. The Bludgeon Brothers defeat Kane, Team Hell No of Kane and Daniel Bryan. That was okay. The only problem is that they seem to be wanting to hold on to keep these titles on the Bludgeon Brothers for a good while. I don't know why. Maybe there's just a lack of great tag teams on SmackDown. Maybe, I'm not sure. But yeah, they attacked Team Hell No, destroyed Kane in the backstage area, beat up Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan, of course, comes out to the ring. Kane comes out. Everybody's bruised and battered, and going over is the Bludgeon Brothers. And I apologize because I'm basically going off of what I remember from this travesty of
which doesn't
event.
Sound like was a whole
It
lot.
wasn't a whole lot going on. It just seemed kind of dragging. The pacing of AJ Styles versus Rusev match for the heavyweight title, it was kind of off to me. It felt like AJ kind of wanted to go off, and Rusev was kind of like, although look, to his credit, Rusev is good. He's a great wrestler, but when you have the two different styles, and maybe it's just that he's not used to wrestling a wrestler kind of like AJ's moveset kind of thing. I don't know what happened there. Just the chemistry was kind of off for me. But, overall, great showing by Rusev. He looks strong. AJ, of course, they're going to keep that title on him for a while. I foresee AJ holding on to the title, probably having a really long reign as champion. Let's see. What else was going on? Oh, of course, to me, predictability of the Dolph versus Seth Rollins.
Before
match.
that, I saw a match, and I wanted to get your opinion on it because they finally gave Nakamura a belt on the main roster. But the way they do it now is about the cheap shot, the crotch shot. I'm not digging it. Let him be a wrestler.
Yeah, I didn't like that. What happened was, spoiler alert for you, but you're probably not going to watch it based off of this review. Nakamura does a low blow to Jeff Hardy while the referee's back was turned at the beginning of the match and just goes straight for a pinfall. Randy Orton comes back, and it looks like he's going to go after Nakamura for the U.S. title, but he stomps Jeff Hardy's nuts into oblivion, and that's pretty much, he goes in, does that, walks out.
How do you feel about Randy Orton?
He's done, man. I don't think Randy Orton's kind of one of those guys that I think if you're going to keep him on the roster, keep him to put over everybody else around him. Don't give him the belt unless it's his last run. I don't think he needs that, though. Randy Orton's always been kind of solid as far as wrestling goes. But, yeah, man, I'm not too keen on Randy Orton sticking it out. I don't see Randy Orton sticking it out for maybe – I could probably see him in for another 3 to 4 years. Tops.
Really? That long?
Yeah, I think they'll keep him around, kind of like in a. Look, if Dave Bautista was still in WWE, that's exactly what they would have done with Dave Bautista.
Yeah, that's very true.
And I think he saw the writing on the wall in his own mind and whatever. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, the match overall, it wasn't that great. I mean, obviously, it was just a low blow and a pinfall. But I don't know what they're building up to. It's only SmackDown will tell us. But I think they're scheduled to have a rematch, Jeff Hardy and Nakamura, tonight. So I think I want to check that out. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Hopefully they do it justice and, like you said, make Nakamura a wrestler and have I would say it would be a decent match with Jeff Hardy. I've never been too high on Jeff Hardy as far as having a singles competition match.
Okay.
What else? Of course, Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler. Dude, so this is a 30-minute Iron Man match. It was basically an ode to Shawn and Brett the whole time, in my opinion. Like I said, I joke around. Dolph Ziggler is Shawn Michaels now. So, of course, you're going to have a sharpshooter spot in the match. I mean, to your knowledge, did Seth Rollins ever do a sharpshooter?
I want to say the only time I ever saw him maybe pull it out was against Sting and try to do it as a Scorpion Deathlock.
Right.
That's probably it. He really doesn't do a whole lot of submissions that I can remember.
But other than that, you know what I mean? So, yeah, Dolph got his little flavor of being Shawn Michaels, being caught in the sharpshooter by Seth Rollins, a.k.a. the modern Bret Hart, if you will, if you're looking at it that way, which I was this whole match. Swerve angle with Kurt Angle coming out after. So basically Drew McIntyre comes out with Dolph Ziggler and beats the piss out of Seth Rollins after Seth Rollins gets like 2 or 3 pinfalls on Dolph right off the get, and it's 3-0. And the ace in the hole, of course, being Drew McIntyre beating the crap out of Seth, so that way Dolph gets the upper hand. And then at the end of the whole thing, like the time runs out, they were tied. Very dramatic. I would say that they did tell a good story, other than the cheesy spots of like the Shawn Brett thing, references and stuff. Maybe like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I probably would have been like, holy shit, that's awesome. Yeah. But at this point, you're kind of like, okay, Dolph, stop mocking Shawn or stop trying to be Shawn Michaels. But I will say that they did pull out a hell of a show as far as the match. The crowd wasn't too into it. They kept like, they had like the clock countdown for the match. So the crowd was over like for 15 minutes straight, dude. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and that just shows attention capacity.
Yeah, that sounds like another CM Punk chant. Just like I'm gonna make this.
Well, they're up in Pittsburgh. It's the Northeast crowd that's kind of like that, I guess. You know.
Yeah, that's true. They're smarter.
Yeah. But the thing is I wasn't impressed, and even with the Kurt Angle swerve at the end, basically restarting the match because nothing was settled, and then Drew McIntyre interfering. To me, it was like, dude, just leave it alone. It would have been perfectly fine had it been a draw, and you can do something with them later on down the road. Like just let it go. Let it go. Yeah, it's unfinished business, but let's do something else. Let's put Drew McIntyre to turn on Dolph. That would have been more entertaining for me anyway, in any sense.
You know what? I think those two could have good chemistry. It just depends on what type of match. Putting them in a tag match. No, I'm sorry, not a tag match, in a cage match with no other interference.
See, they had a cage match that night with Braun and Kevin Owens.
I mean, not tonight. I'm just saying down the road, now that there's this interference angle going on, okay, you guys want to be able to wrestle.
That builds up to a cage match. You're
do
right.
that. You know, a cage match still has a place in wrestling. It's not overdone like it was like in the early 2000s.
But and even like TNA had that whole pay-per-view lockdown where all the matches were
That's
in cages.
overkill, man.
Yeah, that's too much. But I mean, to that point, what you said, cage matches are like a staple in wrestling. It would be a nice touch to have them do a cage match.
Yeah, if you want them to have a mat classic, a cage match works. It's like a Dusty Rick type of cage match.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
all right, let them go.
The dangerous factor is there.
And they're both athletic to be able to use the cage.
That's what here's the thing. That's what I wanted to see from this match. From this match, I got a lot of mat technique and stuff like that. Am I saying that right? Technique?
Mat technique.
Mat technique, yeah. So I just saw more of that, and that's cool. But again, to me, it's the ode to Brett and Shawn. Because Brett and Shawn, it was a lot of technical. Like, a lot of people love that WrestleMania, was it 12? Between Brett and Shawn, the Iron Man match? Or was it SummerSlam?
It was WrestleMania 11.
11, okay. Everybody romances that match. It was a good match, but if you really look at that match as a whole, a lot of it was on the mat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There was nothing flashy about this match.
It's weird that you know what? Now that you mention it, I might go back and watch it just to see how much influence it has from other places besides the WWF.
If I would say anything, watch that match and watch the Dolph and Seth Rollins match and look at the parallels.
What the hell? I might do that.
That's something to check out. That's good homework for everybody out there.
Yeah, for sure.
What else we have? Extreme Rules. Oh, Bobby Lashley's beat Roman Reigns.
I heard
surprisingly clean. Yes.
Wow.
So I think they missed the boat with Bobby Lashley.
The first time around or right now?
Now. They missed it.
Okay.
They missed the boat. To me, last night on Raw, I was watching the highlights. They mentioned they did a triple threat, 2 sets of triple threat matches. Drew McIntyre was actually involved in one of those, and Finn Balor. And then on another side, it was Bobby Lashley, Roman Reigns. Or no, I'm sorry. Well, basically, Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley are going to wrestle next week on Raw for the number 1 contendership to face Brock at SummerSlam. Okay.
Just say it already.
If Roman Reigns is going to win this thing, let's just do this at SummerSlam, call it a day. But in my opinion, people want to see Bobby Lashley versus Brock. And Bobby Lashley wants to see Bobby Lashley versus Brock.
You know what? It's a good time to do it because if you want to capitalize on Bobby Lashley coming back in and
hey, they're both MMA guys. I want to see the WWE title defended in an MMA match.
That's a way to kind of stick it to UFC.
Hell yeah.
But my only issue is, does he deserve it right now?
Bobby Lashley?
Yeah. He's only had that Sami Zayn thing. I mean, I get it.
That's why I said they missed the boat. Because you know what?
They should have made him look strong straight out of the bat.
Bobby Lashley coming out. Bobby Lashley versus Samoa Joe. Ooh. Bobby Lashley versus Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley versus Braun Strowman and whoop Braun Strowman's ass. Humble Braun Strowman. Yes, Braun Strowman has a lot momentum behind him, but Braun could afford to lose to a Bobby Lashley. Braun could not afford to lose to a Kevin Owens or a Sami Zayn, or dare I say, Cien Almas
Or a Finn
something like
Balor.
that, or a Finn Balor. You know, it doesn't mean anything. If Braun lost clean to Bobby Lashley, that gives Bobby Lashley more credibility to move on and face Brock. Because then, like you said, and I'm sure a lot of other people would be thinking the same thing, does he deserve it? I think yes. But you could have had you would be more convinced if Bobby Lashley had a higher angle coming into Braun.
Yeah.
But I would say yes because he did come off of a big win on Roman. If he beats Roman next week at Raw, then dude, it's legit. They're gonna legitimize this shit.
That might be the way to do it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, have Bobby Lashley take it off of him, but I don't see him as a permanent champion.
No,
It'll work for the summer, I guess.
no, it's okay. It's okay.
Until
It works.
Survivor Series comes around.
That's perfect. That's a good run. That's a good run to make him look strong, and so that way maybe, I don't know, Cena comes back. Let Cena have a run with the belt again.
I think they should just give it to Seth Rollins and let him run with it for a while and have like the open challenge. I love that idea.
I like that too. I think that it would definitely elevate the rest of the roster and make them credible wrestlers. I was watching a video about why New Japan, how New Japan and WWE will like basically book, or how they are similar or different in ways.
Okay.
And in the way that New Japan, is a perfect segue into the G1, the way that New Japan books is they book to build up the roster. So if, let's say, I don't know, Tetsuya Naito versus Kenny Omega, it was one of the big matches that came out of the G1. Kenny Omega, best in the world. Tetsuya Naito, probably second, third. And we'll talk about that later. But, you know, in that realm, Tetsuya Naito comes up and he becomes a bigger name. Win or lose, you know, they're going to be built up. Win or lose, their wrestlers get built up. WWE, on the other hand, it's win or lose, or win, you get a little more notoriety, you become a name. You become a name. You lose, you get lost in the shuffle again.
Yep.
And they put you with somebody to work with, and it's not the same. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's pretty much my whole thing with the whole Extreme Rules. It wasn't that great. I'm going to just basically give it maybe 2 jalapenos out of 4. And if 1.5 jalapenos out of 4, I'll be honest. I think it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Could have been a lot better. But we also had the G1. So that's something you saw and I didn't.
Yeah,
so fill
man.
us in on that, dude.
So
I heard so much good stuff.
This is the first time that I've actually made it a point to watch all the G1 matches, like the tournament matches. They're each 3-hour shows, so I try to get the bulk of what's, the important stuff.
Right.
I will say the matches to immediately go back and watch from Saturday the 15th, maybe the match of the tournament so far. Tetsuya Naito against Kenny Omega. This was about 25 minutes. They only give him a 30-minute time limit, which I enjoy because you don't have to worry about an hour-long match every time you're watching them. You go, okay, I know this is the beginning and there's the end, so they have to work fast, and they do. Kenny Omega and Tetsuya Naito have some of the best ring chemistry together because I think they have kind of the same character. They're both really laid back, kind of cocky, but they wrestle at such a high rate. Like, it was 25 minutes, and this was worthy of putting on a major pay-per-view. Like, this could have been a Dominion final, or this could have been something else, but they chose to do this as a G1 match, and it's interesting to really think how much quality wrestling you're going to be seeing over this next month, and how they're going to have to do a lot to make it worth your while to continue to watch.
Do you think the tide changes in the next 3 months with maybe New Japan getting a little more notoriety?
It depends. I think what they need to do is get a match somewhat like when the Super Juniors a couple of years ago, when Ricochet and Will Ospreay had that match that went viral. and that put more people's eyes on it. Like, oh, hey, there's this, for the lack of a better term, spectacle going on. You know, this. If anything, you like to see guys flipping around. Okay, cool. But then you start watching the actual wrestling, and it is really entertaining. These two have really good ring psychology. They both taunt each other. They both use their respective. I don't know. His good night.
Oh yeah,
good luck.
yeah.
He does the gun. Naito does that.
His taunt.
Yes, yeah. They both mimic their taunts, and it was really funny to watch. But their matches were awesome. Go back and watch this. So far, this has been the match of the week for me. A very close second, and this is a testament to how good the other match was. Zack Sabre Jr. against Ibushi. Now, if you remember, this was everyone's pick for the final of the Cruiserweight Classic about 2 years ago. Now, think about where their careers would have been if they decided to sign with the WWE as opposed to where it is right now.
Wow.
Dude, Ibushi can basically write his own check right now. I mean, him coming back to New Japan was maybe one of the best things he could have done for his career. Zack Sabre Jr., I guess, was a really big indie darling for a long time before he made it into the New Japan. Dude, he is up there with my favorite wrestlers. He might be a close second or even peaking up at first right now.
Ooh.
He is doing so... I love catch wrestling.
Yeah.
I love everything about, the manipulation and getting into a flow of the new... Zack Sabre Jr. has the best mat wrestling I've seen probably since Malenko and probably Dean Malenko. He's like
strong.
He's the guy I always think of, like he's the mat assassin. Yeah. You could have a grappling match and it would make sense. Zack Sabre Jr. is the modern day version of William Regal, but like a hyper version of him.
Yeah.
Or a hybrid version. He's doing these moves that you can even hear the announcer saying, I've never seen anybody do that before. He puts his opponents in such a high angle on submissions that it looks very scary.
Right, man.
But just the way he can break down let's say he's fighting Ibushi, who is more known for his high flying style. He makes him adapt to his style of grappling.
Wow.
So what I'm looking forward to is him getting to wrestle wrestlers that have more of a jiu-jitsu background, because I know Zack Sabre does. What else do we have here? Oh, yeah. So far, the standout of the G1 has been Jay White, Switchblade.
Really?
He has taken out, listen to this
list of
he's beaten Okada and Tanahashi
in
his first two matches of the G1.
Dang.
He's beat them, like pretty stellar. He does use a little bit of heel maneuvers.
Yeah.
But dude, if this is one of their ways to having a coming out party for Jay White, it's there. Another honorable mention for who's having a really good G1 so far. Another first timer, Hangman Page. Dude, they set a stat today. I was watching the last tournament matches. They had said that, oh my God, what is it? Masachono, Mr. G1, who's won it 5 times. They asked him, who's your pick to win the whole G1? He said Hangman Page. So for you to get a Japanese legend like that to endorse you and say, yeah, that's the kid that's going to take the company, or he's going to go up against Kenny at the Wrestle Kingdom, dude, that's some high praise. And you see it. His work rate, dude, has been phenomenal. Doing shooting star presses off the apron, and just his matches have been really good. The last one I just saw today was him against Michael Elgin. Now, they've faced each other 3 other times in Ring of Honor. Elgin's won those 3. This was no different. Elgin against Hangman Page. A really physical match. It was really interesting to watch how they work off each other. But Hangman Page is, like, super strong. I didn't realize that. Like, he looks like he could probably lift, like, his just brute strength was really impressive to watch. The one thing I did notice about what they're doing with this Bullet Club, Tama Tonga, basically attacked anybody that Bad Luck Fale is wrestling. So Bad Luck Fale's beaten Okada and Hangman Page.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Hangman Page took it because of Tama Tonga and Tongaloa beating up Hangman. So they're just kind of letting him run as a kind of a mob. Like this last match with Okada and Bad Luck Fale, Fale was beating him, and then out of nowhere, Tonga comes in and does the gun stun. And dude, it's interesting. I like how they're doing storylines within the G1 now. I'm sure they've done it before, but to actually see it, what they're trying to do, is really cool to watch. So a couple of matches that I'm looking forward to. I'm actually just going to give you the rundown of Thursday's matches and Friday's matches that are going to be taking place at Korakuen Hall. Thursday's matches have it looks like Block A. Juice Robinson versus Kota Ibushi. I'm looking forward to that. Hiroki Goto versus Kenny Omega. Tomohiro Ishii versus Tetsuya Naito, which could be a really fun match to watch. Toru Yano, another guy I forgot to mention. He's got a background in wrestling, like collegiate wrestling. And before, he was kind of like the Joker, doing like silly stuff in the ring. He has flipped it and turned into like a legit serious wrestler.
Wow.
He's kind of mixing both styles, and it's really fun to watch because he's a really good wrestler. And I don't think he has shown that in the past, or as far as I've ever been able to notice it. But Toru Yano against Zack Sabre Jr. So that's going to be another grappling match I'm pretty excited to see. Sonata versus Tama Tonga, two guys who have amazing athletic ability. Something I found about Sonata, and I think I understand why I like him more now. He is actually been trained by the Great Muta. So being able to see how he kind of wrestles like Keiji Muto is really cool to watch. But yeah, that's taking place Thursday. Friday's matches: Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Bad Luck Fale. It's going to be really good. I think Bad Luck Fale actually beat Tanahashi last G1. Evil against Togi Makabe. That's going to be a very physical match. Michael Elgin versus Jay White. Could be good. Kazuchika Okada versus Hangman Page. This, I think, is going to be the match of the night because both have a really good work rate and they both know how to, they have a good physical style together. Yoshihashi versus Minoru Suzuki should be a good old-fashioned Japanese, strong style match. But yeah, that's kind of all that's going on during the G1 right now. It looks like we have some major news about a certain person coming back to the WWE. We were talking about...
Yes, let's get into this.
It looks like we were talking about Extreme Rules on Sunday,
right.
And there were reports that a certain immortal Hulk Hogan was allowed into the back of the WWE pay-per-view. From what I've heard and read, he formally apologized to all of the wrestlers and the staff for what he did, and I think he's trying to make amends with the WWE. So for now, they've reinstated him into the Hall of Fame, but I think this is just going to be a gradual, you're going to see him on Raw really soon.
Yeah. Well, I'm very curious to see what people out on Instagram think about the return of Hulk Hogan, Hulkamania, back in the WWE Hall of Fame. In my opinion, despite of what was said, despite of the controversy, here's the thing, like, professional wrestling is synonymous with the name Hulk Hogan, the brand of Hulk Hogan. Let's just say that. We were talking about this earlier, and I'm sure you're tired of hearing me say this, but this is coming from a Ric Flair fan, y'all. So Ric Flair is known today as the greatest wrestler of all time. Before that, before Hulk Hogan's controversy, some would argue that Hulk Hogan was the greatest wrestler of all time. Hulk Hogan drew the most money out of everybody. Hulk Hogan had one of the greatest matches, most iconic matches of all time. Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3. I think, in my opinion, it's okay to have him in the Hall of Fame. It's okay to mention him. It's okay to, basically say, hey, yeah, this guy helped pave the way for the future. He basically brought pop culture and professional wrestling together. Some would argue Ric Flair did that, but I don't think it hit until more recently that Ric Flair is now appropriated with pop culture, but from his debut in the rock and roll era, rock and wrestling era, to now, people, you say wrestling with word association, someone's gonna say Hulk Hogan. You know, at the end of the day, I don't know how genuine he is with his apologies and all that. You know,
okay.
So it's hard for me to say I'm happy for him, but I don't wish ill will on anyone. You know. But I'm just gonna say, like, hey man, you know what? Congrats to Hulk in a weird way, I guess. You know?
Yeah, you got back in on your good graces of your employer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm kind of on the fence. At one point, I think even now, I don't need to see Hulk Hogan on TV more than once every couple of years.
Yeah.
You know, he's kind of reached the point where, yeah, he's still around, but I don't need him there every week.
If he is still okay, look, he's still around. So to me, he's still the ultimate attraction. If he was to show up on, I don't know, Monday Night Raw, and we don't see Hulk Hogan or hear from Hulk Hogan until a year from now, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like, let him come out, let him push a 24 documentary that WWE Network's putting out there. Let him go out there, let him say something. I don't want to see Hulk Hogan wrestle. I don't want to see him cut promos. I just want to see him push his movie, his show, whatever it is that's going to be on the network, because you know that's coming.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let him push that, and then, okay, we don't need to hear from Hulk Hogan for a long while.
No, I completely agree. I think
well, damn, put another Legends House show and put Hulk Hogan. Oh man,
that'd be interesting.
That would be very interesting.
Be very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So there was a stipulation back on Monday Night Raw last night that if Brock Lesnar did not show up, that he would have to forfeit his title.
Yeah.
And now that his winner is going to be taking place at SummerSlam. We went over this, but
we didn't go into depth as far as.
What do you think about that stipulation? Like, did you actually believe that he was going to get stripped of the title?
No.
Right? It's almost a slap to our intelligence.
They're trying, man. They're really trying to bring back that kayfabe of wrestling. They're really trying. Like, I think in Vince McMahon's mind, kayfabe is still alive and well. But, you know, it's entertainment. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Kayfabe is still alive and well, but if you're doing it correctly. At this point with WWE, come on, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know already. We already know. But the thing is like, you're not going to strip Brock of the title. Just say, hey, you know.
It's a
way to move things along, I guess.
I suppose so, but it just felt so cheap. Like, hey, we have to do something.
I would just be more blatant about it and just say, hey, you know what? This dude showed up to UFC and he can't show up to Monday Night Raw and defend his title. Then you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and just book this match, and the winner's going to face him. Don't even mention stripping the title. This is what they should have been doing. We're going to do a number one contender series of number one contenders matches. Hey, Roman, you're not allowed to wrestle in them.
Interesting.
You've already had your 4 chances. Go to the back of the line. That's what I would have done as a GM, or like, you know, in kayfabe story, writing the story. I would have just said, hey, look, you know, all you guys that want to face face Brock Lesnar, come on up to the ring. Then you have your 6 major guys show up. Oh, Roman, you've already done this quite a few times. Hit the bricks.
That'd be interesting.
That puts your freaking manager over or whatever. The crowd gets back into it because, holy crap, we're about to see a new champion. That gives you a little more
Or at least
hope.
a new contender.
A new contender. But, hey, any one of those guys could be champion. You know what I mean?
You know what?
Sell it. Make it believable
At
again.
this point, I think what they should do is, and I'll ask,
Let's
remind
throw it
myself
out
of
there.
something.
Let's throw it out there.
I want them to do a heavyweight, an all heavyweight, like, tournament.
Oh, yeah.
Between SmackDown and Raw, go, okay, we need somebody to take out we need the best guy to take out the top guy because nobody on Raw is doing it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
let's get
Fight for your spot.
Yeah, be like, you want to go for the
Damn.
Universal title? Okay, guess what? You can have a 2-night event that will put on the network and be able.
Bring back King of the Ring. The winner faces Brock
Why
Lesnar.
not? Why not have qualifying matches between SmackDown and Raw, and then you have it like the World Cup. SmackDown's on this side, World Cup's on this side, or Raw's on this
the
side,
other side.
and they seed.
Yeah.
Like it's Sami Zayn against whoever, like The Miz.
Yeah.
That's one heavyweight match. You have Kevin Owens against whoever else. Cien Almas against somebody from Raw. That's like, wow, him against Finn Balor.
Yeah.
That as a heavyweight match. Shake things up so you're like, oh, wow, I'm seeing something new. Or have it as each month. Month 1, night 1 of the heavyweight tournament. Night 2 heavyweight tournament.
Why not throw a few NXT guys up there?
Sure, why not?
Give them some exposure on the main roster.
Why not? You know,
that's what they should be doing. We talked about this last episode when you said, why not throw some NXT guys into the fold or something? I thought about that. Why not? That's such a good idea because you expose your NXT guy to a main roster type setting and what kind of places they're going to be wrestling in, and
I think
the crowd gets introduced to this new character.
I would love it if they did it like, and I'm only saying this because it's so fresh in my mind, the G1. Have it in different locations. Have maybe 3 matches take place on Raw, 3 matches take place on SmackDown, 3 matches take place on an NXT TakeOver.
Oh, yeah. And that's a treat for that crowd.
There you go.
Because then you get like, oh, shit. Finn Balor's coming back to NXT to wrestle for this tournament.
And then the final takes place on like SummerSlam. You have it built up over a month and month and month because then you're like, oh, okay, we know who's not in the mix. Okay, you go for the IC title, go for blah, blah, blah.
Tag titles.
Sure, why not? Why not? But I don't know. It just feels like they try to rush into these I guess everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So speaking of SummerSlam has actually been announced. So it's looking like, of course, Brock will defend the Universal title against Roman.
To be determined.
At this point, it's either Roman or Bobby Lashley. We'll see. Alexa Bliss is defending the women's title against Ronda Rousey.
Well, Ronda's going to take it.
Now this goes back to, is she ready for it?
It's what's going to draw and what's going to put faces towards the TV.
I think she is, dude. I think like her wrestling ability like surprised the hell out of a lot of people. But now it's, holding the title and I don't know, man, holding the title and keeping it.
It's right now.
Yeah.
I think they're just going, that Fox deal's coming. We need to put as much coverage of us to make them realize that this was a great idea. So, of course, they're going to go, Rousey, you're winning the title.
Yeah.
And then what does that do? You watch it on SportsCenter. You watch it on ESPN throughout the day. Ronda Rousey won a title in WWF, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to say, they're going to get the coverage. It's going to be on Today's Show. It's going to be on this. It's going to be on that. It's all, hey, watch our product if you want to see Ronda Rousey wrestle.
Then does it make sense for Bobby Lashley to wrestle Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam?
It does because they don't even have to have that as the main event if they don't want to.
Right. But you also look at it this way. I'm looking at it from this perspective. If Brock faces Bobby Lashley at SummerSlam, again, to that credit of Ronda Rousey on ESPN, this and that, well, Brock is fighting. They're pushing it to look like he's going to fight Daniel Cormier. Okay? Bobby Lashley is a big shithouse of a man as well as Brock. So it's kind of like, damn, Brock is going to wrestle this dude for the title or whatever, Mm-hmm. And if Brock loses, like, okay, well, Brock's going to be training for the UFC now. You know what I mean? I don't think Brock, if they're saying that Brock Lesnar is going to fight in January?
Yeah.
Okay. It's going to be August, right? SummerSlam?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's not. Yeah, I think it's going to be middle of August or
It's
so.
August 19th. Yeah, August 19th at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. That's going to be a hot crowd for Brooklyn out there, man.
Yeah.
That's going to be badass. So I predict after SummerSlam, Brock's gone.
Oh, yeah, I could see
Brock
that.
loses the belt, and he's gone. And WWE is back to having Roman with the belt
It's sad that that is like the exact same thing everyone's thinking.
Exactly. We'll see. Again, we'll see what happens. Just give it time. But, I mean, I think Brock's going to be gone, and he's going to be training for UFC because, I mean, if we're talking from August to January, that's a good amount of time for him to get back into shape, at least octagon shape. We actually had a good time, was it last Friday? 2 Fridays ago?
At RCW?
No. At Heavy Metal
That was
Wrestling,
last week,
dog.
dude.
That was last
Man,
week.
you got drunk then.
Oh, yeah, it was fun. So we were actually invited by former commissioner of Heavy Metal Wrestling. Lots of crazy stuff. You got to check out what's going on with them. We were introduced to Dan, the manager, who's pretty much running the show at Heavy Metal Wrestling. They're actually going to debut their championship, the Bare Knuckle Championship, which is basically their heavyweight title in
And guess what it is?
heavy.
It's a heavyweight tournament. How simple.
Right?
How
exactly.
effective.
So far, I'm going to read off some names, and these guys, these guys can wrestle, man. All these wrestlers wrestle with a chip on their shoulder, but they're great. They're so good. To me, Heavy Metal Wrestling is one of those shows that is turning some heads. A lot of talent is coming in from multiple areas to get some time to work their stuff out.
Yeah.
It's a fun show, man. They actually had the fans bring your own weapons match.
Dude, that was so fun. It was
was
like watching
crazy.
an old ECW show right in front of you.
There were people bringing boxes of like
Halogen lights.
Dude,
Boxes of halogen lights.
that's insane, bro. They were like going off. I'm just gonna name off some guys who actually are qualifiers for the tournament. Kiefer Bartek, Great Scott. Already those two guys, just keep those names in mind. Kiefer Bartek and Great Scott, two great Mac technicians. Both guys can tell a story. I'm looking forward to seeing a match between them two. Johnny Bedlam, I believe he's from San Antonio. Another great wrestler. He was involved in a fatal 4-way elimination match. So the guy can go, obviously. He's going up against 3 other guys, throwing down. And these matches are just quick. Like, they're not even, like, the pacing of them is fast. It's moderate to fast. I wouldn't even say it slows down at any point of the show. Terrell Tempo, who's a breakout, standout wrestler right now. A lot of people in San Antonio really digging on this guy. Our heavy metal brethren, Ruben Steele, is going to be in this tournament. Ruben Steele, the veteran, I call him the veteran of heavy metal wrestling. This guy reminds me of a mini version of Bruiser Brody. And I don't mean that in a derogatory sense, Mr. Steele. I know you and Crom will destroy me for with that little comment there. But fun time, Heavy Metal Wrestling. August 10th, they're going to be back at the Guillotine.
Can't wait.
They're going to debut. They're going to begin their tournament for the Bare Knuckle Championship.
You know I'm a sucker for tournaments.
Dude, it's going to be fun. It's going to be great. Also, little something to announce. Thursday, August 16th, from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., Heroes and Fantasies, located at 4923 Northwest Loop 410. Bustin' for Autism charity event. Partnered with Drop the Spotlight Productions. Rikishi in the house. So former WWE superstar and Hall of Famer Rikishi will be there signing autographs. It's $20 for autograph purchase, and you get a free picture with Rikishi. So that's pretty awesome. And all the funds are going to Bustin' for Autism. It's a charity that takes kids out to special camps, activities, things like that. So, we're actually going to be there, and we're going to have a few words with Rikishi. I say that like we're going to have a few words with him, but no, we're going to do a nice little interview with Rikishi. So if you guys are interested, go ahead and send us like any questions to our Instagram at One Sweet Wrestling Podcast or our Facebook. Definitely check all that stuff out. Oh, and by the way, back to Heavy Metal Wrestling, we got to see ACH.
Oh, yeah, dude.
How badass was that, dude?
That was really fun. I had spent the day watching ACH matches just to kind of get myself prepared.
Yeah.
he is just as entertaining, if not more so, in front of a Texas crowd than he was during the Best of the Super Juniors this past year.
Yeah, and such a nice guy. We'll post up a
For
picture
sure.
that we took with him after the show. He had another match going on the next night or something, so he was out rushing out, but he took the time to take a picture with us. Really awesome guy. We look forward to seeing ACH again in the future. Alex, you have a question, sir?
I do.
Okay.
You'll notice the theme of this whole show. Do you think a tournament-styled wrestling event could work for the WWE? Now, you look at different promotions that have been taking these tournaments and really kind of making stars out of not unknown wrestlers, but lesser-known wrestlers to you and I. You have WXW in Germany has their 16 karat tournament, which Cody has taken part of. Walter, who I still have to show you, who's quickly becoming number 3 of my favorite wrestlers right now.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, he's amazing. PWG has maybe the best right now in the Battle of Los Angeles, which takes place 3 nights in, I want to say it's coming up pretty soon, but in California Ricochet's won this. Adam Cole's won this. Big names go on to do big things. And of course, the granddaddy of them all, New Japan has the G1 and the Super Juniors. Now, we talked about they've used this in the Cruiserweight Classic. Mm-hmm. They had the old King of the Ring. Do you think they could figure a way to make this work with their current roster?
I think they can, but the thing is that there has to be some incentive or some reward at the end of the whole thing, like we talked about earlier in the show. WWE does these kinds of things like the Cruiserweight Classic. The winner got a contract, to basically
job out to everybody.
And join a. Anyway, never mind. Sorry, I was gonna trash 205 Live, but I hear it's getting better.
A lot better.
I hear it's getting better.
Buddy Murphy came on revolutionized everything.
Dang. All right. Well, I have to check it out then. I don't know, man. I think a tournament style would work, but there has to be some incentive. Like the tournament should dictate they are the number one contender overall in WWE, and I feel like maybe they should have a shot at any title that they choose, more like the Royal Rumble. But you could go for the IC title, you could go for the heavyweight title, you can go for the Universal title.
Interesting.
Just kind of make it something off the cuff, off the wall kind of thing. I mean, obviously the biggest choice is going to be world title or universal title, but wouldn't it be something to have a guy just go, you know what? I don't want the world title. I want the Intercontinental title. Yeah. Like, wouldn't that just throw the game off?
Or what I could see them doing, if you want to go that route, almost cut off the option of the Universal, have that be specifically reserved for, we have a general manager. He chooses who earns this. You have the choice of the Intercontinental title, the
US
United
title?
States Heavyweight title. Hell, if you want the NXT title, kind of throw out what you want.
Yeah.
But it has to kind of make sense. Like,
there has to be a good incentive and then a strong push after that. If you're going to put a guy through a tournament like that, they have to have a big, strong push.
You know who would be a perfect candidate for it?
Who's that?
Cesaro.
Oh, yeah, dude. Overdue. Way overdue. Yes. That guy should already be a 2-time, 3-time U.S. or Intercontinental title champion.
I could see him at some point get the actual strap. Like,
he should.
I think if he moved to SmackDown, it'd be perfect.
Yeah, they have to break up him and Sheamus to do that, I think.
Or
that's okay.
No, not necessarily, because Carl Anderson was in 2 G1 finals, and he was still part of the Anderson Gallows.
Yeah, but that's in New Japan.
No, but I'm saying you can have a tag team and break up
okay.
the team. Just it doesn't mean that it could be Sheamus against Cesaro in the heavyweight finals.
Got you.
Or you know what I'm saying? But I think for this, it would work for me in a lower title. Like
a working horse tournament.
You have an Intercontinental Championship between 16 people, 8.
Well, why don't we call it kind of similar to the junior heavyweights? Because it's kind of like the secondary title, right? In a sense, kind of thing.
Yeah, I would say so.
So, yeah, it would probably be like the working horse tournament.
Yeah.
There you go. Just named it something generic and quick. Why not, right? So, I don't know. You want to give a few shout-outs to our Instagram followers out there?
Yeah, man. Young Simba 210 says, what's up? We have Heel Face Wrestling saying, my question is, which one of you is going to take the stink face from Rikishi, or is it both of you?
I'm going to do it because I'm a trooper.
All right.
Because I will do it.
Heavy Metal Wrestling SA says, you guys are the best, with 3 smiley faces with heart eyes.
Oh, man. It's love right there.
Heel Face Wrestling says, DC is going to cost Brock the title to build up their feud for the UFC. That'd be interesting to see if they would
That would
allow
be
them.
fun.
Yeah.
That'd be a good cross promotion there. And then, yeah, man.
Kind of do the WWE a favor.
And then when they do them a favor. Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're giving you our champion.
Exactly.
Do this for us.
Yeah. That would be something different. That'd be kind of cool.
Well, figure. He could show up in the corner of Ronda Rousey, and they would be like, oh, hey, they're friends. And then, bam, cost him the title.
Dang,
And
because
then
he's
he goes,
back there.
And then he goes, I'm coming after you.
Woo!
But,
Destroy.
yeah. I got to make 2 quick announcements.
Sure.
Unfortunately, not happy announcements. This past, I want to say Saturday, I need to check my facts, but we lost a superstar in wrestling, Masa Saito. Died of complications of Parkinson's disease at the age of 76. He is the creator and the namesake of the Saito suplex, which is I want to say, grasp around the waist from the side and dump him over, kind of like a belly to side suplex. Wrestled in the AWA as a tag team with Jesse Ventura and tagged with Mr. Fuji and won championships with manager Lou Albano.
Wow.
So we say rest in peace to you, Mr. Saito.
Rest in peace.
Today, the 17th of July, marks the 30th anniversary of Bruiser Brody's death.
Oh, wow.
More so, we should be saying Bruiser Brody's murder. He was trained by Fritz von Erich after attending the West Texas A&M University. Tag team partners, most notably with Stan Hansen winning the tag team championships in All Japan. Make sure you go back and watch the match with Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody against the Funk Brothers in 1985. Meltzer gave it a 5-star, so that gives you all the clout you need for that one match. Kind of a hometown boy in the fact that he was a sports writer here in San Antonio. But unfortunately, yes, he was murdered in Puerto Rico 30 years ago today. So with that being said, rest in peace both Masa Saito and Bruiser Brody.
Yes, yes. Alex, I don't think there's anything left to say, but
We out!